Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudhiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatiruttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namah Namo Pankaja Nabhaya Namo Pankaja Maline Namo Pankaja Netraya Namaste Pankajangre Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Guruve namaha Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim Yat kripa tamaham vande Shri Guru dinatarinam Paramananda madhavam Shri Chaitanyam Ishwaram Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin iti namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarini Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Hare Krishna. We welcome all devotees and guests to our Sunday Feast program. We are discussing over the last few weeks a series of classes on the various demons that were killed by Krishna in Vrindavan. And then we also discussed the anarthas or the unwanted things in the heart that each of these demons represent. So today we will be discussing the demon of Vatsasura. So when Krishna was performing beautiful sweet pastimes in Vrindavan, after his appearance at Gokul Mahavan, he killed Putana, Shaktasur, Trinavarta. Then there was a beautiful pastime of Krishna being bound by Mother Yashoda's love. And then Krishna caused two huge Yamalarjuna trees to fall. And from these trees appeared Nalakuber and Manigriv, the celestial beings, and they offered prayers. After this pastime took place, there was great tumultuous sound in Vrindavan. Everyone came running towards this place where two huge trees had been uprooted. These Yamalarjuna trees are not simple small trees, they are very powerful trees. And they saw that their baby Krishna is having a wooden grinding mortar tied to his back and is crawling comfortably in between the trees. Immediately all the Brajavasis were shocked. They were so concerned for Krishna. They came running and they picked up baby Krishna. And they started offering prayers to the Lord for the child's protection. At that time, there were some children who were nearby watching this whole incident. So they looked at Nanda Maharaj and the elderly Gopas, and they started giving a report of what happened. They said, we saw what happened. Krishna was tied to this wooden grinding mortar and he came crawling in between the two trees, and then we saw Krishna gently pull, and when he pulled, both the trees shook and they fell down, and two divine beings came out of the trees and they offered prayers to our little Krishna. So the children were giving a report, and all the elderly Gopas had come and they were shocked and they were trying to figure out who caused this accident, what has to be done. And here these children are giving such a fantastic story. So the Gopas immediately dismissed what the children were saying. They were saying, this is some childish imagination. How can our little Krishna do something like this? And then there were other Gopas, a group of other coward men. They said, no, what these boys are saying must be true. Because Nanda Maharaj, your child Krishna, has already performed such incredible feats. So many dangers are coming to Vrindavan, and this little boy is protected all the time. Surely your child Krishna is not an ordinary child. So as they were glorifying Krishna, Nanda Maharaj was smiling, hearing the glories of his own child. And then he picked up Krishna, he freed him from the wooden grinding mortar, showered him with lot of kisses and affection. And then the elderly gopis came and they picked up Krishna. And then they took him inside and they started singing praises of Lord Vishnu for having protected their Krishna. And as they began to sing praises and they started singing and dancing, Krishna began to jump and dance and started clapping his hands. Here was this little Krishna who had just created such a tumultuous sound by breaking the trees. And here he is now dancing like a puppet in the hands of the gopis. So like this, Krishna was performing pastimes. And immediately after this pastime, Mother Yashoda took him inside the house and she was doing some household chores. And she told Krishna, Krishna, get me that plank. So there was a small wooden plank and Krishna had to get it. And it was heavy for Krishna. And Krishna was lifting, struggling, panting, puffing, and with great difficulty, he dragged it and brought it where Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj were sitting. And as he was getting it, it took him a long time and everybody was laughing at Krishna's struggle. So here was the Supreme Lord who just a few moments before had uprooted two huge trees. Yamalarjuna trees are so powerful that even when there is a cyclone and all other trees are destroyed, nothing happens to Yamalarjuna trees. They are so powerful. And Krishna had easily uprooted them, but here he is struggling to carry a wooden plank. And then Nanda Maharaj said, I have to go out, Krishna, get my wooden footwear. So he had wooden slippers. So Krishna went, picked it up, put it on his head and came running and offered it to his father. Again his father was so overwhelmed to see Krishna's sweet dealings. And then Mother Yashoda asked for something and Krishna tried to lift it, but Krishna could not lift. So Krishna, what he was doing? He was clapping his arms and showing as if he is having lot of strength, and he was trying to lift it, but he could not lift. But he was making a show. So this was giving great joy to the gopis and gopas. They were all laughing loudly to see Krishna's heroic feats. So this is how Krishna covered the intelligence of the Brijvasis. They could never understand Krishna's glories. So today morning, Gaurang Prabhu was explaining so beautifully that, Krishna's glories is not revealed to those who are filled with intimacy or familiarity. Both of them, they cannot recognize Krishna. So Brijvasis are filled with intimacy, so much love that their love, jnana shunya bhakti, the knowledge is covered. Knowledge of Krishna's greatness is covered by the intensity of their love. That they cannot understand Krishna is God. If somebody logically proves to them, they will give more logical reasons to explain how Krishna is not God. But when they say that, that is because they love Krishna so much. So once when Krishna was in Dwarka, Uddhava had come to Vrindavan to pacify the Brijvasis. And Uddhava met Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj, and he was telling them, and he was so overwhelmed to see how much love Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda and the gopis and gopas have for Krishna. They are waiting for Krishna. So he told them that, Nanda Maharaj, Mother Yashoda, you are so fortunate. Your son Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. So generally if somebody is told your son is God, so a person would be stunned and he would be surprised and he would have awe and reverence. But Nanda Maharaj's immediate reaction was, when he was told, your son is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Nanda Maharaj immediately said, but he's not here, he's not staying with us. He's left us. That was his thought. And then Uddhava thought, I should convince Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda how Krishna is God. They are not understanding the position of their son. So he said, do you know, your son has defeated Jarasandha 17 times. He has killed big, mighty Rakshasas. So again, if somebody hears this, they would think their child is a superhero. But what did Mother Yashoda say? Oh, that is not good for him. He'll get tired. He is a small child. He has to take care of himself. She is not able to see that aspect of Krishna. That Aishwarya, that power, she is not able to understand. So then, again, Uddhava says, but you have to understand, he is God. So Nanda Maharaj finally gets irritated. He says, Uddhava, I am not a Pandit like you. You are Brahaspati's disciple. Brahaspati is Guru of demigods. You are so wise, you are so intelligent, but you talk so foolishly. How can our son Krishna be God? Because we have heard that God is Narayan. Narayan means one who gives shelter to all living entities. Our Krishna giving shelter to all living entities, we are giving him shelter. Lord God means completely self-satisfied. But our Krishna is never satisfied. He is always asking for butter, milk. And God means completely righteous. And our Krishna is always stealing. So like that, he gives so many reasons and arguments to prove how Krishna cannot be God. So Uddhava is completely bewildered. He says, I came here to console them. To convince them that, don't be sad. Your son is God. But now I am not able to convince them. In fact, I am seeing that they are crying so much. And Uddhava got bewildered. Uddhava said, generally when somebody is crying in this world, we tell them, don't cry, be happy. But here they are crying so much. This crying is the best thing to do in life. So then he was thinking, how can I tell them not to cry? So he told them, cry more. Because I cannot have these feelings which you are having for Krishna. So Uddhava had come to Vrindavan wearing the hat of knowledge of Krishna's power. He had a big hat. Not literally, but this is metaphorically, poetically. And when he saw the Brijvasi's love for Krishna is so high, he kept seeing it so high, that this hat of knowledge finally fell down. Means he realized that this knowledge is useless to understand Krishna. There is something about Krishna that cannot be understood by knowledge. Ultimately, it can be realized only by love. So then Uddhava got a realization, beautiful realization. He said, when there are clouds in the sky, we cannot see sun. When there is darkness, we cannot see sun. So, when darkness goes away, then we can see sun. Similarly, when ignorance goes away, then we can see Krishna. So ignorance has to go away. There has to be knowledge to understand Krishna. But, this is a very big but, which Uddhava realized. Uddhava realized that, but if you want to see pole star, then pole star cannot be seen when there is sunlight. The sunlight has to go away. There has to be complete night. Then we can see pole star. If there is sun, you cannot see. Similarly, Uddhava realized, I may have lot of knowledge about Krishna's greatness, but with all this sun-like knowledge, I cannot see the pole star-like pure love of Krishna, which the Brijvasis have. For that, my knowledge has to be covered. This is the position of Brijvasis. Their love is so intense for Krishna. And they don't realize that their child Krishna is God. After this pastime, one fruit vendor came to Vrindavan. Our basket was filled with so many fruits, and she was saying, during those days there was barter system. You have to go and you have to give something and take from the other person. So she was saying, come and take fruits, come and take fruits. So Krishna had seen his elders do this, do barter. So he also ran and he said, give me fruits. And he had little tiny hands. And she was so enamored and captivated seeing beautiful Krishna. She filled his hands with whatever fruit she had. And fruits were falling from Krishna's hands, little fingers. Imagine these are the same finger, the small pinky finger, small finger of the left hand. Krishna had lifted the entire Govardhan mountain. And here he was not able to hold fruits and they were falling from his hand. And he gave her few grains in return. And when she put those grains in her basket, the basket became filled with gems and pearls. So Krishna proved that if we give something to Krishna, you are never the loser. Ananya chintayanto mam ye jana parvipasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyam. So like this, Krishna performed very sweet pastimes. Then Krishna and Balram would play with the friends. Whole day they would be playing. They would get up and they would go and play. So then Mother Yashoda came. First Rohini came and she said, Krishna, Balram, come back home. It's time to take bath. Get ready for prasad. But they would not listen to Mother Rohini. They would continue playing with their friends. So Rohini came back, told Mother Yashoda, no, I can't convince them. So Mother Yashoda came. She said, Krishna, come inside. Come home. Today is your birthday. We want to, you have to take nice bath and you have to give charity and your father Nanda Maharaj is waiting to take prasad. So they immediately got scared. They said, yes, yes, we'll go. And as soon as they were leaving, the other boy started complaining. They said, oh, Krishna is now leaving our game just when we are winning. So Krishna is spoil sport. So we'll never play with you again. So immediately Krishna, he came back. He was going to home, but he left that and he came back and started playing again with the boys. So Mother Yashoda got very angry with Krishna. So she said, Krishna? And then she looked at the other boys and she started scolding them. She said, you think you are a street boy with no home? And then when she scolded, Krishna again became scared. So Krishna would go through these emotions. Fear, excitement, just like an ordinary human child. The sweetness he had. So then he would come and then Mother Yashoda would make him take nice bath, then they would give charity, then he would take prasad. And all these things would be seen by the demigods and they would be completely bewildered. Here is the Supreme Lord who is breathing inhalation and exhalation. Millions of universes are created and dissolved. And this person is so absorbed in making houses. He's playing. From sand he's making houses. He's like tired but he's not able to stop playing. So they are watching, what is this? And then he would break his friends' houses and they would break his. He would laugh. He would make them cry. So the demigods are amazed. What is the fortune of these Brajvasis? What kind of pastimes the Supreme Lord is performing? This is the Madhurya Rasa. This is the sweetness of Krishna's pastimes. So after these things were happening, all the elderly Brajvasis had a nice meeting. They had a big meeting was called. That what do we do? Our Gokul Mahavan is being constantly attacked by so many demons. Every day different demons are coming. There was this Putana, huge demoness who came trying to kill our Krishna. And when all these demons were killed, the Brajvasis' conclusion was, they were killed not by Krishna. They were killed because we are offering sincere prayers to Lord Vishnu. And by our mantras, Krishna was protected. That was their conclusion. So they were saying, Krishna is protected by so many calamities. Then Shakatasur, then Trinavarta, and now 2 huge trees have fallen. If it had fallen on any of our child or Krishna, such a big calamity would have happened. What do we do? At that time, Upananda, who is the brother of Nanda Maharaj, he spoke. He said, nearby there is a place called Vrindavan with beautiful river Yamuna flowing and beautiful Govardhan mountain. We should all shift there. That is a safe place for us. And our cows will have sufficient grass to eat. And so when Upananda glorified, all of them immediately agreed. They said, yes, let us go to Vrindavan. So they had a nice journey to Vrindavan. All the elderly people, women, children were on the carts. All the other men were surrounding the carts and walking with their bows, arrows, and then they were walking for a long distance singing, and Mother Yashoda and Rohini were on one cart, and on their laps were Krishna and Balram. And Krishna and Balram were they were learning to speak, and they were speaking with their broken words, and that was giving a lot of delight to their parents. So like this they came to Vrindavan, and this is the way Krishna entered Vrindavan. And in Vrindavan, one of the first demons to attack was Vatsasura. But as soon as Krishna and Balram were able to walk a little bit, they were made in charge of cows. Vaishya community takes care of cows and bulls. But first they are given training, they are given orientation. First you take care of cows, and then as you grow up you can take care of cows. So they would take these cows to the forest, and once when they were in the forest, one of Kamsa's agents, Vatsasura, he took the form of a calf, and he mixed with the other calves. And he was planning to attack Krishna and Balram, and Krishna immediately noticed, and he pointed to Balram, see, this is a Rakshasa. And Balramji also noticed. And then quietly they went behind that demon, and before he could realize, Krishna held his hind legs, and the tail lifted him and twirled him in the sky, round, and then threw him high into the sky. And at that time Vatsasura assumed his huge original form of a demon, and he came crashing down, giving up his life hairs. Thus Vatsasura was killed. And all the boys celebrated, all the demigods started showering flowers, and they started cheering Krishna. So this is how there was a beautiful pastime, and everyone glorified, and they all came home with great happiness, singing the glories of Krishna. So this pastime you can read in great detail in Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 11th chapter. And there are nice purports given by our acharyas. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in his Chaitanya Shikshamrit, specifically says that all these demons represent some unwanted things in our heart. And Vatsasura, because he came as a small calf, he represents the great anartha of childish behavior, immaturity, or a neophyte behavior. This is a very important point. Childishness, immaturity, neophyte behavior. This is also a great impediment in spiritual life. There is a difference between sincerity and maturity. Practically everybody who comes to Krishna consciousness is sincere. You can be sincere, but you may not be mature. And sometimes because of the immaturity, a lot of relationships get spoiled. And because of our childish behavior, we refuse to grow up, we refuse to learn, refuse to see the bigger picture. And like Vatsasura was childish, we remain childish. Neophyte, Prabhupada said, is the lowest stage where a devotee doesn't respect other devotees. He only says, Krishna is God, I am Krishna's devotee, everybody else is useless. He doesn't respect other devotees. He's always fighting. Neophyte, fight. That is his nature. Always fighting with other people, other devotees. And he has this obsession that I am superior to others. And he always wants position, respect. This is neophyte. Kanishta. Kanishta means lowest devotee. Our acharyas tell us that we should rise from Kanishta level and come to the level of Madhyam Adhikari. Madhyama means middle platform, where a devotee respects other devotees because he sees Krishna in their hearts. He understands, oh, there is Krishna in this person's heart. And a Madhyam Adhikari who has a culture of respect, he alone can preach. A neophyte devotee cannot preach. Kanishta Adhikari has this huge attitude problem, superiority complex. And he is always criticizing others. He cannot preach. Madhyam Adhikari has compassion. He has love for the Lord, friendship with this other devotees, and compassion for those who are non-devotees. And he is the best person fit for preaching. So it's our responsibility to rise from Kanishta Adhikari level to Madhyam Adhikari. Then we will be able to please Krishna. Therefore Vatsasura is teaching us to abandon Kanishta mentality and rise to Madhyam Adhikari. Now, how can you know whether you are Kanishta or Madhyama? You must say, "Okay, sometimes you would like to believe that I am Madhyamadikari. Because I have been in the movement for 20 years now, so I am Madhyamadikari. I have to be, if not Uttamadikari, ideally I am Uttamadikari. 20 साल हो गया. Just like in Sarkari office earlier, I don't know now under Modi government what is the system. But earlier, you just remain in a government office, you will get promotion, you will grow. 20 years means you will become senior. Similarly, sometimes we think Hare Krishna movement is like that. I am 20 years devotee, so I am pure devotee. Sorry. That's not the criteria. We can be Kanishta even after 25, 30, 40 years. And we could be Madhyama even on the very first day that we have come. What is the test? How can we know that I am Kanishta or Madhyama? Simple. Let us say you are given some position. Prabhu, you are in charge of this temple hall cleaning. Or you are made in charge, you are counselor. Or you are made some president of some group. When you get a position, some position, how do you think? What is the thought process? That will show whether you are Kanishta, low class, or Madhyama, mature devotee. Whether we are immature, childish, Kanishta, or whether we are mature will be seen by our thought process when we get some position. So how does a Kanishta think when he gets position? Kanishta thinks, now they understood who I am. Now they have given me this position. This proves that I am better than them, better than him, better than her. Because I have been recognized and that's why I have been made counselor, mentor, guru, whatever. I have been made the president, I have been made in charge. This proves that I am better than him. This is how a Kanishta thinks. When Madhyamadikari gets a position, what does he think? This is an opportunity for me to do more service. I have been given this position so that I can serve devotees nicely. This is one way we can know. Another way we can know whether we are Kanishta or Madhyama is by what we think when we see faults in other people. Like for example, let us say you are in charge, you are manager, and you are seeing one person under you doing something wrong. So how can you know whether you are Kanishta or whether you are Madhyama? Kanishta Adhikari devotee will say, oh, he is doing faults, he is doing wrong, and I am in charge. My job is to go and correct him. He will go and say, Prabhu, you are doing wrong. This is nonsense. Do it proper. I have done my job. I have corrected him. This is because I am in charge. I have to tell him he is wrong. I have done nothing wrong. This is Kanishta mentality. Madhyamadikari also sees faults. He doesn't ignore the fault. But he also doesn't pounce on him. Madhyamadikari is aware that if somebody has faults, these faults can be rectified only by Krishna in the heart of that devotee. Krishna can guide him to be a better devotee. So I have to ensure that this person comes closer to Krishna. So when a Madhyamadikari is correcting, giving feedback, or taking some action, taking some decision, he is conscious of how to help this person come closer to Krishna. And how can a person come closer to Krishna? If that person spends time hearing and chanting about Krishna. So a Madhyamadikari will always take decisions, talk, behave, think and act in such a way that the other person comes closer to the process of hearing and chanting Krishna's holy names. So this is how we can know. When we see faults, if we are very blunt, that means we are Kanishta. Madhyamadikari is sensitive. So therefore, just like individually we could be Kanishta, we could be like Vatsasura. Collectively also as a community we could be Vatsasura. Collectively also we have to rise to Madhyamadikari level. So community can also be Kanishta, community can also be Madhyama, because a community is ultimately made up of individuals. So Ravindra Swarup Prabhu has written a beautiful paper for ISKCON Communication Journal on how all of us collectively can come to Madhyamadikari level. He explains that the number one priority of community members should be hearing and chanting of Krishna's holy names and pastimes. If this happens, community comes to Madhyamadikari. How? Because when we hear and chant Krishna's holy names, the false ego dissolves. Because it requires lots and lots and lots of humility to sit and hear another person speak about Krishna. Generally the false ego is so bad that we don't like to hear, we like to speak. When you're talking to another person, so many times, we think, when will you stop so that I can speak? So, if we are giving up that urge to speak and instead we are sitting and hearing, that means that is a very big step towards humility. Therefore, Madhyamadhikari, maturity, a community becomes mature when members come together to hear about Krishna. So this is a true community. Ravindra Swarup Prabhu corroborates with some sociological research done by one scientist, sociological scientist called Dr. Scott Peck. He explains how community goes through different stages. And he says most communities are pseudo-communities. Pseudo-communities means they are not actually communities. And what is the sign of a pseudo-community? He says pseudo-community is a community where there is no conflicts. You will say, wow, you're the pure devotee is a community. He says, no. There is no conflict, not because everybody is pure. There is no conflict because they avoid conflicts. Instead of conflict resolution, they live on a platform of conflict avoidance. So what happens when they avoid conflicts? When you avoid healthy conflicts, what happens? Then your relationships are very superficial, very shallow. And then he says, in such a community, all the speech is very stereotyped. It's cliched. All the dialogues are like we have many times. Hari bol Prabhu. Prabhu, Hari bol. How are you? I'm in Maya. How are you? So we always glorify. Prabhu, you are a pure devotee. Hari bol. No, Prabhu, I am fallen. I am your servant. No, Prabhu, I am servant of your servant. No, Prabhu, I am servant of servant of servant. And then he says, no, Prabhu, I am your slave. Prabhu, my position is the dust of your lotus feet. So these are all stereotyped sometimes. We don't mean it also. So he says, stereotyped speech gets, it dominates, it gets superimposed on our external consciousness so much that we don't address the real issues. And we just bury it. And we have a facade of only positive emotions. Everywhere we talk positive, appreciation. But actually, it is a facade. Because there is no safe space for members in the community for having bad emotions, for expressing their anger, their disappointments. There is no forum for addressing grievances. There is no person who can understand the struggle. Basically, such a community will not evolve. It will not grow. It's a community of very shallow existence. So then he says different phases we have to go through. But essentially, Ravindra Swarup Prabhu says, community can grow to Madhyama level and remain at Madhyama level only if members are constantly hearing and chanting Krishna's holy names. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur also says, because of this Kanishta mentality, because of this low class mentality, also a person develops greed to get position, power, I, me, mine, I want. So Vatsasura also represents greed, which is also a very big anartha. And greed for money, greed for position. This is common in the society. We have heard of famous politicians and people who are obsessed with, there was one politician lady, she was obsessed with sarees. She had so many, I think thousands and thousands of sarees in her wardrobe. And there was one Philippines, I think, leader, she had some shoes. So many shoes in her, with her. There was one very famous rock singer, Elvis Presley. He committed suicide. He, at 25, he was a billionaire. So popular. And he loved Cadillac cars so much that he had 100 Cadillac cars. Not satisfied. More. Those in India, they know Indians are obsessed with cricket. When I was a young boy, one cricket player was very famous, Hansie Cronje. He was a South African cricket player. He was the captain. He was considered as the one who revolutionized cricket because he used to enter the cricket field with a laptop. During those days, computer was very rare. And he had a laptop and he would come and he would do some strategies and we would say, wow. He was a man, grave, always winning matches. He was considered as a very, very strong, sober very good cricketer. And suddenly, one day when I was making chapatis in the kitchen, one devotee came and said, Prabhu, you used to watch cricket, no? You heard of Hansi Cronier? He has been caught in match fixing, taking money. I was shocked. I said, oh, what scripture says right. Greed is there, all pervading. He was a victim, he had become a victim of greed. And then eventually he died in an air crash. When he died, there was a small heading in some corner of the newspaper saying that Hansi Cronier has died in an air crash. And when I got that news, I was thinking, if he had died, because when he was caught in match fixing, he was banned for life. He could never play cricket match again. He had become a disgrace. Overnight, he became, from a hero, he became a villain. And when he died, that was a insignificant news. But I was thinking, if he had not been disgraced, if he had died as a good, with that good reputation, that news would have been headlines. And there would have been so much of condolence, so much of glorification. But the greed is so powerful that it had made him taken its victim. Only after the year 2000, cricket players they started getting banned for life for match. Earlier the things are not so common because now money entered, so much money entered, so much glamour entered this sport. So who enters when money and glamour enters? Kali also enters. And then Kali takes over. So that's how we see that cricket players from simple, poor background, especially, Pakistan, Bangladesh cricket players, simple, they have got some God-given talent, they play well, then they enter the team, then they get glamour, they get name, they get success, they get fame, they get money, then they become victims of greed, and then they are caught in some big scandal. So like this, so many people's careers have got destroyed. So greed is very dangerous. People, who said this? Mahatma Gandhi said this. There is sufficient in this world for every person's need, but not sufficient even for one person's greed. So much we desire. But if you carefully analyze, what is this greed all about? Why people are greedy? Ultimately, why people want more and more things and more possessions? Ultimately, greed is simply a reflection of a vacuum in the heart. There is big emptiness in the heart. So different people fill this vacuum in different ways. Some people, what they do to fill this vacuum? They are feeling lonely, they are feeling sad. So how they fill this vacuum? They eat a lot. Constantly they are eating. They think, if I eat a lot, I'll feel happy. But still that vacuum remains. Some people, they think, I will fill this vacuum by getting money. So they earn a lot of money. Still they are lonely. Still they are sad. What an unfortunate thing, no? Like Marilyn Monroe, she is considered as the greatest sex symbol of the 20th century. One of the most glamorous actresses of Hollywood. When she was a young girl, 6-year-old, she wanted to be an actor. And eventually she became famous. But she was so lonely. She committed suicide. And just 1 month before ending her life, in an interview, she said, I am called as a sex symbol. I thought symbol means that which you cling. She thought symbol means this. This is called symbol in English. Kartal. She said, I thought symbol means you make sound and it's an instrument. But I am a symbol. Symbol means a thing. I hate to be a thing. She never felt loved. She was only used. And people were just fantasizing, enjoying her. So she felt miserable in her life. She had all the success, all the money, but hollow. So some people fill the vacuum through money, sex, food, possessions, furniture, position. Some people think if I get this position, they become leader, I become like this, then I'll be happy. Still they are not happy. And some people think, this vacuum and emptiness in my heart, I will fill by becoming busy. So they are always busy. 24 hours they are working. But still they are not happy. Some people think relationships, if I get married, or if I have a relationship with this person, with this person, I'll be happy. Still they are not happy. There was one American actress, Elizabeth Taylor. She got married some 15, 20 times. Because not happy. Vacuum, loneliness. Maybe I'll marry her. Marry him. I'll marry him. I'll be happy. Happy. And eventually her 17th husband was same as her second husband. And finally that registrar which issues certificate of marriage, they got so fed up with her. When she came after them 18th or 19th marriage, they give a certificate saying where your name is written, your husband's name is written. So when she got married 18th time, the registrar office gave her a certificate saying, and in the column husband's name, they had permanently typed, to whomsoever it may concern. अब इतना शादी कर रही है तो जाओ. So much vacuum, so much unhappiness. So people are doing different things. So this is actually, greed is basically a symptom of not having Krishna in the heart. So we need to fill our hearts with Krishna. This is what Vidura and is talking to Maitreya in the Srimad Bhagavatam. He explains. Sukhaya karmani karoti loko nate sukam vanyaditaram amba vindeta bhuya tataeva dukkham nayatra yuktam bhagavan vadena. Now this was spoken 5,000 years ago. Just hear the translation of this. You will be amazed how it is 100% true even today. So what does Vidura say? My dear Maitreya, please tell me what is the reason. I want to know the answer. I am seeing everywhere. This is 5,000 years ago. What is he saying? Sukhaya karmani karoti loko. All the people of this loka, what are they doing? Karoti karmani. And they are doing these activities. All the people in this world are non-stop doing activities. They are busy. But why are they doing these activities? Why are they so greedy for earning money? What do they want? Sukha. Sukhaya karmani karoti loko. After working so hard for sukha, what do they get? Sukhaya karmani karoti loko nate sukham vanyaditaram amba. I am seeing that they don't get happiness. Then they change their expectation. They think, okay, if I am not getting sukha is positive happiness. At least let me get relief from suffering. Most of us, our definition of happiness is simply relief from suffering. There is a difference between relief from suffering and happiness. If you are in minus axis, and if you come to 0, that is like relief. From 0 when you go to positive, that is happiness. And our lives is suffering, which is minus axis. And some days we don't suffer. That means from minus we have come to 0. And we think, I'm very happy today. But positive we are not experiencing. So Vidura has diagnosed the problem so perfectly. He says, Nate sukham vanyaditaram amba. And they also don't get relief. So they wanted positive axis mein jane ka tha. See, somebody is in minus 2. He wants to come from minus 2 to minus 1, 0 and plus 1 and then plus 2. So minus 2 is suffering. He wants to come to plus 2. So Vidura is saying he is not coming to plus 2. Then he thinks, okay, let me come to 0 at least. So he is now trying to come to 0. Sukhaya karmani karoti loko nate sukham vanyaditaram amba. So then what happens? How is this material world made, my dear Maitreya? That he doesn't get positive happiness. He also doesn't get relief. And what does he get? Vindeta bhuyad tataeva dukkham. He gets more dukkha. That means from minus 2 he began, wanting to go to plus 2. He was not able to go, so he thought I'll come to 0 at least. But eventually what happened? Where does he go? Minus 4. Vindeta bhuya tataeva dukkham. My dear Maitreya, people are doing so much activities for happiness, but they don't get happiness. Then they want relief from suffering, they don't get relief. On the contrary, Vindeta bhuya tataeva dukkham. More and more dukkha. Nayatra yuktam bhagavan vadena. Why is this happening? What is the reason? Please reveal. So, the compassionate Vidura is asking for answers and is revealing the plight of human beings in 21st century also. This is our situation also. Extremely miserable. Upadruta, disturbed, unlucky. Like I have one friend who is a very accomplished astrologer, very famous, very good, and is my father of my friend, one of my friend's father. He already has 5,000 disciples, in the sense followers, and is consulting to prime ministers of different countries. Very, very, very successful, very God-given gift. So this friend of mine is a devotee. So he took me home and his father was talking to me. And he's not a Hare Krishna devotee. And he's telling me, Hare Prabhuji, I tell you very frankly, I see horoscopes I'm seeing for the last 40 years. I am seeing that some people have happiness in their horoscope. But they don't have any money. And there are people who have a lot of money but they have no happiness in their horoscope. So this illusion, what Bhagavatam says, is so true. Money doesn't guarantee happiness. And then I was surprised. I told him, happiness is there in people's charts. He says, actually, there is no happiness. But we have to use nice words. Most of the people, all the horoscopes are bad. They are all unfortunate people. Everybody in this day and age are unfortunate people. He is telling me this. But our business will get stopped if we tell them this. So we say nice things. We sugarcoat it and we say, you do this, you will be happy. And we give them some relief. But actually they are all unfortunate people. Everyone is unfortunate. This is what Bhagavatam says. Because of lack of Krishna, we are miserable. And in the next verse, Vidura, he tells Maitreya Rishi the reason also. Janasya Krishnad Vimukhasya Devad Adharmashilasya Sudukkitasya Anugrahayeha Charanti Nunam Bhutani Bhavyani Janardanasya. He says, the reason for this is Janasya, all the human beings. What is their situation? Janasya Krishnad Vimukhasya Deva. They have become Vimukha. They have turned away from Krishna. What happens then? Adharmashilasya Sudukkitasya. Then they engage in adharmic activities. Already we have dukkha. Just look at this. Already from -2, instead of going to +2, we have come to -4. And at -4 we do adharma. What will happen? Sudukkitasya, -8. -10, more misery. Plus karmic reactions are also pending for the adharmic activities. We are in a big mess. We are trapped. And the more greedy we get, the more desperate we get in materialistic activities, the more suffering we go through. Therefore, Maitreya Rishi, you are the only hope. Pure devotee is the only hope. Anugrahaye acharanti nunam. To give anugraha, to give mercy, a pure devotee is traveling. Bhutani bhavyani janardanasya. He gives Krishna to everyone. So pure devotee's business is to give Krishna. But this is the only solution. This is the only hope. And if we can somehow get connected to Krishna, then we will be happy. And then what will happen if you start getting some taste in Hare Krishna, chanting, hearing, deity worship? Then the happiness will be on another level. Kastrupnuya tirtha pado bidanat satre shuva suri biridyamanat yakarnanadim purushasya yato bhava pradam geharatim chinnati. He says, if somebody gets attached to hearing about Krishna, kastrupnuya tirtha pado bidanat, Krishna's lotus feet is worshipped by all the demigods. If he can somehow get connected to Krishna, then bhava pradam geharatim chinnati, the materialistic activities which keep us trapped in this material world, our attachment to them can be easily cut. All the things that we are thinking, I cannot give up, this greed, this lust, is impossible for me. Easily we will be able to give up if we get attached to Krishna. Otherwise, life is full of suffering. The most successful people, they are feeling hollow, empty within. Some time ago I read a book on South Pole expedition. I was curious to know who was the first man to reach South Pole. You know the story of Mount Everest, how they go, the first man who went with a lot of difficulty, challenges. Similarly, South Pole I wanted to know. So I read this book, Antarctica expedition. So 1912, actually it happened. During those days, equipments and facilities were not so much. And it's very difficult to go there in that whole continent, which is almost 3 times bigger than Australia. Huge continent. Population is only 200. 200 human beings only live there. Because nobody can live there. It's minus 58 degrees. And constantly wind and constant suffering. Very harsh life. And to go to that main point, that South Pole, nobody has gone there. No human being has gone there. Who will go there? So there was a young boy, Roald Amundsen from Norwegian. As a child, he wanted to go to North Pole. Always. His ambition was to go to North Pole. Constantly dreaming, I will go one day. And when he was 20, 22, he was planning to go. News came that 2 Americans have already gone there. So he felt very sad. I couldn't be the first man. Okay, let me go to South Pole. Meanwhile, there was Robert Scott, one British naval officer. He was desperate to go to South Pole. He was making his team. Roald Amundsen was making his team. And Robert Scott, for 14 years, he did research how to go to South Pole. ऐसे जाने का, ये करने का, वो करने का. And they came to know about each other's plans. So both of them were desperate to be the first one to go. So finally, they made lot of preparations, planning. Robert Scott finally made a team. You know how the description is so scary. Only 5 or 6 of them go with some 200 dogs to carry all of them. It's so unpredictable. They have to make tents. They have to live in such harsh conditions. And why they take 200 dogs? Actually, they need only 50 dogs. Other 150 dogs they kill and eat. And they feed to the other dogs which are driving them. It's a miserable life. If you read the whole description, you feel what hellish tamogun they are living in. Because it takes them, it's almost 1300 kilometers they have to go. It takes them 2 months to go and 2 months to come. Every day they have to go few kilometers, struggle. Finally, Robert Scott reached that spot. And what does he find there? A flag by Roald Amundsen's team. We have already reached here. So as soon as Robert Scott's team reaches, after 15 years of struggle and after 2 months of walking, he starts blasting. He says, this is the worst day of my life. All my effort has gone waste. We've already reached here. He is miserable. He is the second man. Still he is miserable. Second rank aaya. Fir bhi miserable. And this journey back was so miserable that one by one all of them died. Because they had not planned. There are some things happened. Communication failed. So he used to write diary every day. He said, now one person has died. Today he is dying. It's very cold. Can't go out. Today this third fellow has died. And finally he writes, I'm dying. Please somebody take care of my family. And finally he also dies. And then later on when the other groups went, they found his dead body and the notebook. Miserable death. Miserable end to such a life of struggle, desire, greed. What happened? Misery. Now you may think Roald Amundsen must be happy. He was the first one to reach. He reached and he wrote in his diary, I am here the first man to reach South Pole. But a strange sadness fills my heart because I wanted to go to North Pole. Can there be a greater irony than this? He writes like this. Can there be a greater irony of human life than this? This is how, I don't remember the exact words, but this is how life is, this is how painful it is, and then that's how he ends. And then after 2-3 years he died on another North Pole expedition, he died. Basically, what I'm saying is look at this greed, ambition, what is the use of this? What are they getting? Ultimately, you may become a polar bear in the next life in that South Pole. What are we trying to achieve? Therefore, Vidura says that instead of all this, if we try to get attached to Krishna, Sashraddhadanasya vivardhamana virakti manyatra karoti pumsa Hare padano smriti nivritasya samasta dukkhapyam ashuddhate. He says, with faith, just have faith. Sashraddhadanasya vivardhamana. If you have faith and if we hear about Krishna, what will happen? Vivardhamana, our happiness will step by step increase. And simultaneously, virakti manyatra karoti pumsa. अन्य चीजों में विरक्ति आ जाएगी. Other things we will give up. And what will be filled up, what will be there in our consciousness? Hare padanu smriti nivritasya. We'll be only remembering Krishna. And the entire result of this is, cumulative result of this, samasta dukkha, all our dukkha, samasta dukkha pyayam ashu datte. It will dry up. Have you seen sometimes when we dry up our dhotis during summer season, not winter, not rainy season, during summer season, when I dry it up in the terrace at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, you can actually see it drying. In 10 minutes, the whole dhoti is dry. It just evaporates, goes away. Vidura says, samasta dukkha pyayam ashudatte. Everything will just go away. All dukkha will go away. There will be an amazing sense of purpose and happiness. So ultimately, everyone is sad. Even those who have achieved top and those who have not reached, both are miserable. Both are lonely. So therefore, what is the solution? Solution is only Krishna. Dhruva, when he went to the forest, his mother, Suniti, she tells him something very interesting. When Dhruva is insulted by his stepmother, and he is very angry, what does Suniti say? Nanyam tato padma palashalochanat dukkha chidante mrigayami kanchana yo mrigyate hastagrihita padmaya shriye tare ranga vimrigya manaya. She says, my dear child, there is no one in this creation who can make you happy other than Krishna. Nanyam tata padma palashalochanat. The person with beautiful lotus eyes, he is the only cause of happiness. Nanyam tata padma palashalochanat dukkha chidamte mrigayami kanchana. My darling son, your dukkha, the pain that you are feeling in the heart, that can be broken only by Krishna. Because this Krishna is wanted by whom? Yo mrigyate hastagrihita padmaya. Goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Devi, she has a lotus flower in her hand and she is twirling it and she is going to the forest looking for Krishna. And she is chasing after Krishna, but who is chasing after her? Who wants her mercy? Shriye tare ranga vimrigya manaya. And all the other demigods, all the demigods of this planet are running behind Lakshmi ji for her grace and her mercy. And she is running behind whom? Krishna. So you go behind Krishna. And Prabhupada writes in the purport, he paraphrases what Suniti is saying. He says, Prabhupada writes, Suniti is saying, my dear child, you have come to me when you are sad, but the combined affection of millions of mothers like me will be surpassed by tender and affectionate dealings of Krishna with his devotees. I'll repeat. He says, you have come to me crying, but I cannot help you because the affection of millions of mothers like me will be surpassed by the tender and affectionate dealings of Krishna. So she is encouraging her son to take shelter of Krishna. Therefore, this is our hope. We come to Radha Gopinath Mandir every Sunday. We hear classes, we hear about these demons being killed because we want to fall in love with Krishna. Krishna is our only hope. And for us, how do we get attached to Krishna? What is our source? We have been given Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishne sadamo pagate jnana dharma bihi saha kalo nashta drishameva puranarko dhunodita. Krishna has gone back to the spiritual world. Krishna swadamo upagate. And when Krishna is gone, who has gone with him? Jnana and dharma. Jnana dharma bihi saha. When Krishna has left, all true knowledge has left. True religious principles have left. But Krishna is very kind. He has left behind something for us. What is that? Kalo nashta drishameva. We have become blind. We can't see. Puranarko dhunodita. So he has left Puran, Srimad Bhagavatam, which will cure the cataract of our eyes. And this Puran is what? Arka. It is the effulgent sun. It will remove all the darkness, all the ignorance, all the suffering of our heart, all the dukkha of our heart. It's very important for us to know that we need to have faith that this love, this vacuum in our heart which we are trying to fill, that vacuum, that emptiness, only Krishna can fill. In this world, how is this what is the most glorified subject which is promised to fill that vacuum of our heart? Love. We are told if you fall in love, if you have somebody who loves you, then you will be happy. So I met one professional marriage counselor and I told him, can you come and meet some of the people I am preaching to? Many are young couples, around 120 people are coming and many of them are young and they are going to get married. So you have to give a lecture to them. So he heard me patiently. He said, what do you want me to speak to them? I said, you have to tell them how to, after marriage, how to understand each other and how to stay happily with each other. He looked at me like this. But I am married for 42 years and I am not happy. And I have not understood my wife. And she has not understood me also. So I said, thank you. This is what we hear in our Bhagavatam classes, that nobody can understand us except Krishna. Because we are existentially alone. No human being can understand you. No one has the capacity to fully understand you. You will always remain alone in this world. Because you are unique. Only Krishna can understand you and only Krishna can reciprocate with you. Like, this hope for love is so deep. The greatest novelist in the outside world, because I used to read some novels earlier. So there is one lady called Barbara Cartland. I don't know if you have heard of her name. There is nobody who has written more books than her. You know how many novels she has written in her life? Guess. 723 novels. All novels on what topic? Pyar, love, romance. All novels on love story. And she lived for 100 years. 99 years. So that means, if she started writing novels the moment she was born, as soon as she came out of the womb, she started writing. If like that she did, how many novels she has written every year? 7 to 8. Can you imagine somebody writing 7 novels every year? 720, all novels on love story. How love is there in the air, love will make you happy. But nobody talks about her life story, her love story. She was miserable whole life. 3 marriages broken. At 82 also, at the age of 82 also she had a boyfriend who died and then she was very miserable. And Lord Mountbatten was her very good friend. You know Lord Mountbatten and Edwina, they were the Viceroy of India. And Mountbatten has openly said in an interview that I and my wife's, our marriage glory is that we have always shared different beds. And Edwina was always seen in the house of one very famous Indian politician. And Lord Mountbatten used to always have his romantic affairs everywhere. And this lady, was so miserable after Lord Mountbatten died. And she is the greatest proponent of love. So kitna khokla hai. You just understand that there is no love. Only Krishna can satisfy. This is what is given in the scriptures. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam is our hope. But we have to be careful not to hear this Srimad Bhagavatam from anyone. If we hear from those who are not devotees, then we won't get actually the benefit. Avaishnava mukhodgirnam putam harikatamritam shravanam naiva kartavyam sarpo chishta yatapaya. Just like when milk is touched by the lips of a serpent, we will not touch that milk. Similarly, when Krishna Katha is done by those who are not actually devotees of Krishna, we will not get purified, we will not actually get benefits. Therefore, we have to hear Krishna Katha from the proper sources. And if we hear from proper sources, what will happen? There is only bliss awaiting. So Srimad Bhagavatam and Krishna's pastimes can fill our hearts with unlimited happiness. So what do we mean by this? That fill our hearts with love for Krishna. Simple. Hear about Krishna's activities. Hear about Krishna killing the demon Vatsasura. Hear about Krishna killing. After Vatsasura, whom did he kill? Bakasura. That will be, I think, next week. So what was happening in Vrindavan every day? That is very interesting. What is Krishna's friends doing every day morning? What is the gopis doing every day morning? What is Krishna doing? What is Mother Yashoda doing? It is all given in the scriptures. Prabhata kale varavallavoga gorakshanartam dritavetra danda akarayama suranantamadyam Govinda Damodara Madhaveti. So what is Krishna's friends doing? Hear this carefully. Just by hearing this, we will feel love for Krishna. We'll get attracted to Krishna. So Krishna's friends, early in the morning, as soon as the sun would rise, they would say, where is Krishna? We want to go and play with Krishna. Prabhata kale varavallavoga. As soon as the Prabhat, morning would happen, they would run. And who are these boys? Gorakshanartam dritavetra danda. Their job was what? To protect cows. So they would say, Krishna, come outside. We have to go and herd the cows. Come. And they had their stick, vetra. They had shringa. They had a buffalo horn. They had silk ropes. They had sticks. They had flutes. All the covered boys also had flutes. But nobody played like as well as Krishna played. But they all came looking for Krishna. And then what did they say? Akarayama suranantamadyam. They were calling out to Krishna in a very friendly way. And here is a person who is Anantamadyam, who is the unlimited primeval Lord. And what do they call him as? How do they call him? Krishna, come. And they call him by referring to him as Govinda, Damodara and Madhava. Govinda Damodara Madhaveti. So this is Krishna's friends. This is how they are thinking of Krishna as soon as they get up. And what do the gopis do when they get up in the morning? Uttaya gopyo pararatra bhoge smritva yashoda sutta balakelim gayanti procher dadimantayantyo Govinda Damodara Madhaveti. Uttaya gopyo. The gopis get up in the morning. As soon as they get up, what do they do? Smritva Yashoda Sutabala Kelim. They immediately remember Krishna's childhood pastimes. And they don't just keep quiet. They loudly speak about Krishna's pastimes. Gayanti procher dadimantayantyo. And they start churning the butter. And loudly they chant. What do they chant? Govinda Damodara Madhaveti. 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 So one gopi would go and tell the other gopi, you know what Krishna did yesterday? My son told me that yesterday when they were in the forest, one demon came in the form of a calf and Krishna killed him. So this gopi would hear attentively and she would say, and you know, my son told me that Krishna also was eating food with his friends and he played this joke and he said this joke. So then the first gopi would say, Acha, my son didn't tell me this. Then the third gopi would come and she would ask them what they are discussing, and then the two gopis would narrate what they heard about Krishna. And then this third gopi would say, you know what Krishna did 2 days ago? Then she would recall some other incident. So like this, from sunrise till sunset, till Krishna came back from the forest, they would only be talking about Krishna's activities and they never got bored. They never fell asleep. When the class goes on about Krishna, we fall asleep. But if suddenly we say, we are going to talk about you. Now we are going to discuss your pastimes. Will we ever fall asleep if somebody is going to talk about us? But as soon as somebody talks about Krishna, we become sleepy. In Vrindavan, everybody is talking about Krishna, not about themselves. So all the boys would report. Every day they would come back from the forest and they would say, today Krishna did like this, today Krishna played this game. So this is what the Gopas are doing, this is what the Gopis are doing. And what is Krishna doing? It is very interesting what Krishna is doing in the morning. Govatsabale Shishukaka Paksham Badnantamambo Jadalayataaksham Uvacha Mata Chibukam grihitva Govinda Damodara Madhaveti. Krishna would quietly come to the Goshala. Now what happened? There was one boy, small boy, Krishna's friend. He came looking for Krishna. He also wanted to play with Krishna. As soon as he got up from the bed, even he didn't take bath, he didn't eat anything. He just came running. I want to be with Krishna. And when he came to Krishna's house, Mother Yashoda was in the cow shed taking care of the cows and running and doing some household chores. So he came, he said, Mother Yashoda, where is Krishna? And he was still in a stupor. He was standing like this. He was in stupor, but he was still wanting to be with Krishna. So Krishna always hears the call of his devotees. So he came out. And what does Krishna do generally? He does mischief. He gives pleasure by having fun. Govatsa bale shishuka kapaksham. So he saw this boy standing. And Mother Yashoda is going around doing some activities, and this boy is standing like this, and behind him is a calf. So Krishna quietly came from behind. He took the calf's tail, and he took the shika of this boy. And what did he do? Badnantam ambo jadalayataaksham. Badnantam, he bound them. And then, at that time, who came there? Mother Yashoda. She saw her son is doing such mischief. Uvacha mata chibukam grihitva. And Mother Yashoda immediately called out. What did she say? Govinda damodara madhaveti. 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 This is what is happening in Vrindavan. Everybody is saying Govinda, Damodar, Madhava. Krishna's names. Gopas, Gopis, Mother Yashoda. Everybody is having fun. Everybody is rejoicing. Some of you may say, Hare, only laughter, fun. There is no other flavor. There has to be some other rasa also. Yes. In Vrindavan there is some other rasa also. Along with laughter there is also crying. Intense crying, intense separation also. That also is there. Sadness is also there. But that sadness is also happiness only. It is different flavor of happiness. Just like when people go to movie theater, they see sometimes comedy movies. Sometimes they see horror movies. They see different movies, but ultimately all movies are for entertainment only. Why they are paying 500, 600 rupees and watching? Why they watch superstar movies? Because they want to feel entertained. They want to enjoy different rasa. So in Vrindavan, there is sadness, there is laughter, there is anxiety, but all is spiritual, happiness. So in Vrindavan, along with this laughter and fun, there is another emotion also. Vrindavane gopaganascha gopyo vilokya govinda viyoga khinnam radha jagum shashru vilochanabhyam Govinda damodara madhaveti. Vrindavane gopa ganascha gopyo. All the gopis, gopas, what are they seeing in Vrindavan? They are seeing something. Vilokya govinda viyoga khinnam. They are seeing that somebody is feeling great separation from Krishna. Who is that person? Radha jagum shashru vilochanabhyam. That is Srimati Radharani. And her eyes are streaming down with tears, just seeing Krishna, remembering Krishna, feeling separation from Krishna. And seeing her remembering Krishna intensely and crying, what are all the gopas and gopis doing? They are also overwhelmed with emotion. And what do they chant? Govinda damodara madhaveti. So they are also chanting Govinda damodara. In Vrindavan everybody is chanting Govinda damodara madhava. Even Krishna, he also says Govinda Damodara Madhava. You may be wondering how. Yes, that also happens. One day Krishna was going and stealing butter. So Mother Yashoda caught him. Yashodaya gadamulukhalena gokantapashena nibadhyamana rurodamandam navanita bhoji Govinda Damodara Madhaveti. Yashoda, Gada Ulukhalena, her intense love, by her intense love she tied Krishna to a grinding mortar. Yashodaya Gadamulukhalena Gokhantapashena Nibhatyama. He was stopped. Krishna was stopped from further stealing. So Krishna began to cry. How did he cry? Ruroda Mandam Navanita Bhoji, the plunderer of butter. Navanita Bhoji, one who plunders butter. Ruroda Mandam, and he was crying like this. He was breathing heavily and crying. And what was he saying? Govinda Damodara Madhaveti. He is also saying that. Because everybody is saying Govinda Damodara Madhav. He is also saying. In Vrindavan, for all situations, people chant Krishna's names. Like in ISKCON, for all situations, they say Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Uska shadi ho gaya? Hari Bol. Prabhu ji, uska divorce ho gaya? Hari Bol ho gaya. Prabhu, he's got a job, new job. Hari Bol. Prabhu, my office, my job, Hari Bol ho gaya, Prabhu. That means, job is gone. Happiness, distress, they use Hari Bol. For all situations, they say Hari Bol. In ISKCON, that is a lingo. So, Goloka Vrindavan. In Vrindavan, the lingo is Govinda Damodara Madhava. Everybody is chanting Krishna's holy names. Therefore, this beautiful prayer, Vilamangal Thakur ends by imploring and making appeal to all of us that please chant Krishna's name. What is your problem? He is saying everybody can chant. Vaktum samarto pinavakti kasched aho jananam vyasanabhimukhyam jive pibaswamritame tadeva govinda damodara madhaveti. He is saying Vaktum samartho. Everybody has samarthya. Everybody has capacity to chant. But nobody chants. Vaktum samartho pinavakti kasched aho jananam vyasanabhimukhyam. Alas, alas, what a pity. Everybody can chant, but people are not chanting. Therefore I beg you, my dear tongue, jive pibaswamritame tadeva. My dear tongue, drink the nectar of Govinda Damodara Madhaveti. 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 This is what our acharyas are saying. Chant Krishna's holy names. Feel the transcendental pleasure. Srila Prabhupada said, the pleasure we experience when we chant Krishna's holy names, this pleasure is not from the material realm. This is from the spiritual realm. This directly takes us to Krishna's abode. This holy name is non-different from Krishna's pastimes. This helps us connect to Krishna. Ultimately, it's all about connection. We have to be connected. And when we hear about Krishna, when we chant about Krishna, the same pastime, the test of our advancement is if we can relish the same story, the same pastime that we have been hearing for years. Because Krishna is not going to... See, Krishna's pastime which we have heard 10 years back, we are going to hear again. Do we feel joy? If yes, that means we are getting taste. So therefore we have to pray and hope now that Janmashtami is coming up. Let it not be just another year in our calendar as we are coming closer to death. Let us aspire that as these anarthas, we are coping with them, we are praying that we can get more and more attached to Krishna. Because ultimately, bhakti is dependent, our attachment and our happiness in bhakti is dependent on Krishna's causeless mercy. But Krishna's causeless mercy is one of the 5 factors. There are 4 other things that we have to do. What is that? Bhakti is like a seed. This seed has been planted in our heart by the Guru. Now, when a seed is planted, what are the 5 things that is needed for the seed to become a beautiful tree? First, water every day. You may water, but the soil also has to be good. You can't take a marble floor and you can't put the plant there and it will not grow. The soil has to be fertile. So watering has to happen. Soil has to be good. Then the gardener has to remove the weeds, pluck out all the weeds that grow. Then 4th, you have to make a fence surrounding that seed plant so that Animals don't come and destroy that plant. And finally, with all these four is there, you also need sunlight. Similarly, this Bhakti Lata is growing in our heart. The seed of Bhakti is growing. We need to water it. Means we need to every day chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Every day we have to chant this holy name of Krishna. This is like chanting, watering the seed. Chanting and hearing is watering the seed. But this watering, this chanting and hearing has to be done in association of devotees, not alone. This association is compared to the fertile soil. This association is a soil. And then we have to be alert, savdhan, gardener. With scissors, remove the weeds. Means anarthas, like childish mentality, greediness, hypocrisy. These anarthas which are demons, we have to uproot them from our heart. That means we have to do serious, honest introspection. This is a painful exercise. We can't avoid it. We have to accept our shortcomings and we have to remove those weeds. And then what is the fourth thing? Make a fence. That means protect our bhakti by the fence of not offending Vaishnavas. Mad elephant may come and destroy that creeper. Similarly, when we offend Vaishnava, that is like mad elephant. All that bhakti we are doing will be destroyed. So we have to be careful of not offending other devotees. When our bhakti is very new right now, it's a bhakti tree is like, it's a banana tree. An elephant can come and easily throw away the banana tree. But advanced devotees, bhakti, it is like a banyan tree. Elephant can come and do nothing. So, when it is very strong, then nobody can come and shake our confidence. But right now it is very fragile. So we have to protect from bad association, from Vaishnava of aparad. So we have to make a fence. We have to protect ourselves from bad association. That is the meaning of fence. And finally the sunlight is referred to. Sunshine is not in our hand. That is Krishna's causeless mercy. So if we take care of our bhakti lata like this, what we have done last 1.5 hours right now? What did we do? We did watering and also in a fertile soil. We have put nice soil and now we have to also pluck out the weeds. That means we have to honestly introspect. Am I sincere? What can I do to be sincere? And also make a fence, avoid bad association. Tomorrow your office colleague will come and say, Kabali dekha kya? So what you will say? You will say, no, I don't want to see. My cousin told me that Rajnikant is a very big superstar. I didn't know. He was educating me. He was sending me WhatsApp messages. He said he does all, because Krishna we know does superhuman activities. And the earthly perverted reflection of Krishna is Rajnikant. He told me there is nothing he cannot do. And then he sent me a message saying that yesterday Rajnikant was shot by 3 bullets. I replied back, oh really? I was shocked. He said, don't worry, those 3 bullets have been admitted in the hospital. Nothing has happened to Rajnikant. So then he would send me all those kind of messages, saying that he is God. So I said, wow, people have their own versions of superstar, hero worship. We have Krishna. So let us take shelter of Krishna and protect by making this fence of avoiding bad association. So when we do these 4 things, then we attract what? The 5th. What is the 5th? The sunlight of Krishna's causeless mercy. And that will certainly come. Krishna's mercy will certainly come. We have to patiently keep watering, patiently keep doing our job. Our Bhakti Lata is like the Chinese bamboo tree. Chinese bamboo tree, you keep watering. First year, nothing, it doesn't grow only. Second year, nothing. Third year, just grows by 1 centimeter. Fourth year, nothing. Fifth year, nothing. Finally, 6th year, suddenly it goes to 180 feet. तो अभी हम भक्ति कर रहे हैं प्रभु जी 15 साल हो गया हरे कृष्णा डोंट वरी आपका 4th ईयर चल रहा है अब चाइनीज बैम्बू ट्री एंड दैट 6th ईयर विल कम व्हाट विल हैपन दैट टाइम सडनली विल all other material distractions will go away. But for that we have to be patient for first 6 years. So let us not give up by this distraction. Let us continue to chant and working on these anarthas and praying to Krishna to help us. So to conclude, so we have discussed Vatsasura's pastime, and the anarthas it represents is childish mentality, immature behavior, kanishta, neophyte mentality, and greediness. And to overcome this, we discussed how the hollowness of the heart can be overcome only if we get attached to Krishna and hearing and chanting about Krishna's pastimes. So in this mood, let us take shelter of Krishna and Srila Prabhupada's instructions and prepare our consciousness for the upcoming Sri Krishna Janmashtami festival. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्री श्री राधा गोपीनाथ भगवान की जय, श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंद।